Good morning, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the RSA conference. I'm Bill Brenner, VP of Content Strategy here at Cyber Risk Alliance, and I'm very pleased to be here with Victor Gamra. He is the CEO and founder of Fortify Data. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How is it going for you so far?
It's going well.
Yeah.
It's a great event. So, pleasure to be here.
Great. So, question right out of the gate. So Fortify Data is all about integrated cyber risk management. Talk about what that is.
Great. That's a great way to phrase it. Fortify Data being an integrated cyber risk management, especially in this day and age, could mean a lot of things, right? But when you think about the challenges that a lot of security practitioners and CISOs have with bringing context to risks throughout their infrastructure or throughout their environment, and being able to ingest data from your SIM products or network security vulnerability assessments, application security vulnerabilities, and so forth, and creating contextualized risk intelligence data that's actionable is what Fortify Data is all about. And the goal is really to have security professionals be laser focused on the risk, the true risk to the organization, or that the organization is facing, and help them prioritize that, because we all know security budgets and resources are extremely limited, and they would always be. So it allows the security professional to understand where should he place those limited resources, based on a prioritized list. And there are a few considerations to be made. It's not just producing data. You have to look at what the impact is to the organization, how assets are classified, what are the crown jewels of the organization, where is sensitive data stored throughout the infrastructure, and what's the likelihood of certain threats becoming realized. Being able to contextualize that and to create the output in a risk-informed manner is what Fortify Data is all about.
So paint a picture for me. So if you are a Fortify Data client and they're using the product, what does it look like? Talk about, dashboard setup, or how you work with clients to help them get it acclimated to their specific needs.
Absolutely. So the Fortify Data platform actually comprises of two separate applications. One's for enterprise risk and the other is for third-party risk management. So an organization leveraging the enterprise risk management application is presented with a dashboard that on the line, the lowest level of data set is the raw vulnerability data across their infrastructure, network, applications, combined with threat intelligence data. And then the next level is the contextualized risk intelligence component I mentioned. What does this data mean to my organization once I classify all the assets based on data being stored or transmitted through those systems? What is this threat based on these vulnerabilities that we've identified? What's the likelihood of that threat event being present within the organization, based on controls that I have in place or not in place, or the effectiveness of those controls? What is the impact to the organization? And that middle layer is presented on the dashboard in various ways, extremely customizable, but also the final output is what really sets the platform apart from other risk quantification products. Because we present it in two formats. One is as a risk rating, and the other is via an annualized loss expectancy value. So the financial impact. If this risk scenario were to occur, what does this mean to my organization financially? Am I underinsured from a cyber liability standpoint based on certain types of risk scenarios that I've decided to transfer over? Do I have adequate security controls and budgets for those security controls to mitigate the risk to an acceptable level? And it sort of gives the CISO or that security professional the information that he needs to justify his security budgets. So it's presented in those two formats, and we find that significantly valuable to our customers.
Now, you mentioned risk ratings.
Correct.
And a very popular topic these days. A lot of companies that are in the risk rating business. Talk about how your approach is meant to stand out.
Sure. So we have taken a completely different approach in terms of risk ratings. I myself, I'm a former security, what we call legacy security rating solution user. But those legacy solutions have presented a lot of issues in the industry. I think a lot of security professionals can attest to the fact that using a one-size-fits-all model for assessing risk and presenting it in a ratings format is not the ideal way to go. And there are other issues like misattributions of assets, plethora of false positives based on the limited assessment capabilities that these security ratings products can or leverage. So we've taken a different approach with our security ratings capability by allowing configurable risk models, customizable risk models, and allows them to assess different entities depending on how those entities are structured. If you're assessing a law firm and that law firm probably doesn't have an application or web-facing solution that stores sensitive data, you place less emphasis on web application security issues and more emphasis on internal security issues if they have a server sitting somewhere with your client's IP information. And vice versa, if you have a SaaS-based product and you want to put more emphasis on application security and network security issues as it relates to the rating, you could do that. So Fortify Data is taking this customizable approach with by allowing our customers to completely configure how they want their third parties or themselves to be assessed and rated based on their threat landscape.
Yep. So, we're talking about there's no one size fits all. There's the need for customizing.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a bit about, first, a lot of your clients, where are we talking in terms of company size?
So our solution tailors to any size of organization, but what we've seen a lot of clients in the financial services industry, but over what we'll consider enterprise level clients, which is $1 billion and higher in revenue. Mm-hmm. But our solution tailor, it could be utilized by any size, any type of organization, any size of organization. The goal is to help you quantify risk. Mm-hmm. And as long as you have public-facing resources, we can help you do that.
That's good. That sets us up now for the question that I was going to start with. So there's no one size fits all. Individual companies have their own special needs. Absolutely. And a lot of that really comes down to how big is your company, what industry is your company in. From what you've seen in terms of your experience and your customer experiences, what are some of the key lessons that customers learn when they start using your technology?
Unrealized risks. So essentially, what they may have considered a critical risk to the organization, and they've placed a lot of resources, efforts, and controls, safeguarding controls towards those risks
Mm-hmm.
by leveraging our technology and gaining this comprehensive view, from an external or a standpoint, internal standpoint. If they have a cloud environment, being able to, gather all the security issues as relates to their entire infrastructure, gives a different perspective of how to prioritize or where to divert their attention to. And again, leveraging just going back to the drawing board from a security perspective, looking at the classification of the assets, looking at the likelihood of certain threat events occurring, looking at the impact to the organization, which is very important. Giving them that sort of perspective is what we've seen a lot of clients, and it's sort of a wow moment for a lot of them because maybe they've placed a lot of emphasis on some server, some web application that maybe it's the core platform, but paid less attention to their cloud misconfiguration issues. And maybe that's the easy way for a hacker to gain access. So showing that information has been extremely powerful for a lot of our clients.
So often that the last thing you were thinking about turns out to be one of your biggest risk areas.
Absolutely.
So those lessons, do they tend to be starkest if you're a company on the smaller side?
Right.
Or a company on I would imagine the bigger the company, the more you're running into that.
Absolutely.
Because the amount of data to keep track of is just so much greater.
Right.
But so if you're a customer that's not quite at the enterprise level,
Mm-hmm.
Is it pretty much the same types of surprises?
I would say there are much more surprises with the enterprise level clients, but
Mm-hmm.
also the mid-market segment is quite interesting because you may have an IT resource, like an IT director, but you don't have the security staff, or you may be leveraging like a vCISO service or
Yeah.
so. But they don't actually have that level of insight or visibility until it's surfaced. So
Risk is one of many jobs,
absolutely,
as opposed to having your own team that's strictly about risk.
absolutely. So we see that, but the larger the organization becomes, and there are things like digital transformation and all sorts of reasons why you wouldn't. There's no way without automation to gain this continuous visibility of of risk throughout your infrastructure, and those blind spots just keep increasing. So leveraging a technology like Fortify Data that's continuously assessing to identify those gaps is extremely powerful for all size organizations. But we've seen an increase mid market to upper market.
Now, final question, because we're almost at time. So people come to a conference like RSA, and there's a lot of bling in front of them.
Right.
A lot of it's all about buying.
Right.
But the trick here is planning and knowing what you need
Absolutely.
to buy, and having that deliberative process. From the journey you've had with your customers, any helpful tips in terms of those who are just starting to look at the kind of solution you offer in terms of planning and really understanding the needs before somebody comes to talk to you?
Right. I'll say risk assessments are the number one thing that needs to be done in order to, everyone's always attracted to the the new shiny tool,
Hmm.
right? And at a conference like RSA, there's a bunch of new products that are always thrown in your face. And hey, this will solve your IAM issue. This will solve your encryption issue. This will solve your, and it's all over the place.
Zero trust in a box,
Exactly.
which isn't how zero trust works at all. But
Absolutely. But, performing a comprehensive risk assessment, it's really at the crux of what, you know, organizations need to do in order to determine what, again, you have limited budgets. Where do you divert your security resources? Where do you divert or pour in resources into to mitigate the top risks to the organization? Might be so bent on purchasing this IAM solution,
mhm.
but you've got a firewall issue or something else, right, going on. That's an easier way for a threat actor to gain access to the infrastructure. So, being able to again perform this comprehensive risk analysis is extremely important, right? And that's what I'll highly recommend to any security practitioner. That's because the job of a security professional again is all about risk management,
Yep.
right? So just being able to leverage the right tools in order to gain that visibility is what I'll recommend.
Great. So we're at time, but this has been great. Been a pleasure catching up with you.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Bill.
Very good.